Welcome to Tales of First Ladies. I'm Eleanor Burns. This is the 6th program in this series. In each program, I've been showing you how to make a traditional block named after a First Lady for this sampler quilt. And these quilts have all been made by my students. Iko Rogers made this one with an original presidential eagle spreading his wings within a circle of applique flowers. Just notice the delicate stitching in this eagle eye. It's just so cute. Well, the color scheme of this regal quilt is a warm mixture of browns, reds, teals, and greens. Very pretty. Today our block is dedicated to Lucy Webb Hayes, and she was the wife of 20th President Rutherford B. Hayes. Well, Lucy was for abolition of slavery and rights of women in 19th century America. Plus, she was a strong supporter of the temperance movement. For her dedication to temperance, I selected the double T block. Now, I don't know why they call it a double T, because in 4 colors, you really see 4 T's. There's a double T block on each side of the eagle center. Very fun. Now, this is Lucy's tale. She earned the name Lemonade Lucy for her decision to not serve alcohol at the White House. You know, actually, it was her husband's decision. He felt that public officials should maintain a dignified demeanor, and it was just easier to pin the decision on his wife. Well, a story appeared in the press in which the First Lady became agitated at the sight of a glass of red beverage, only to be told by her husband that it was really lemonade with a squished red berry in it. Despite the lack of alcohol, Lucy was a very popular hostess. It wasn't only the newspapers that poked fun at the Hayes Dry policy. A tavern opened up for business not far from the White House called The Last Chance. Well, now it's our chance. Let's get to the sewing room and get our double T blocks done. This is the 6-inch double T block, very small looking. But remember, we've got to focus on those 4 different colors. So we see 4 different T's, little guys here, but there are 2 units that we have to make. The first one is going to be the corner unit. We'll make 1 in each color, and then we're going to make some flying geese patches, 2 color flying geese patches. That's going to be fun. But let's start with something easy. Now, I have my 4 colors. There's going to be a test later. This is 1, red. 2 is green. 3 is blue. And 4 is brown. I think I'm telling you just so I remember as well. Now, these are 5-inch squares for the 12-inch block. So I am flipping 1 background square right sides together to each one of my dark colors for my T's. These little guys, they started out as 3 inches. Pretty small, huh? Well, right sides together, and now find your 45-degree line on the end of your 6x12 ruler. I'm lining it up with my edge. I like to get my diagonal line right down through the middle and just draw 1 diagonal line. And actually, you just do the assembly line work. This is just working for the union label. When we are using this square out of each one, we'll get 2. So that is enough for the corners of both of your blocks. Easy. All right, and 1 more, and I am sewing. Boy, I love to sew. People ask me if I ever get tired of making a quilt. Never. All right, so I'm using a 1/4-inch seam, and I'm just going to stack these all up. I think I'll keep them in numerical order so I don't get mixed up. I have my 1/4-inch foot on my sewing machine, and I actually set my machine right now at a scant 1/4. It's it'll be fine because these are oversized and we'll be able to trim them up to the perfect size later. Okay, put your foot, I have a bar, you line it up with your line so that your stitches are actually a 1/4 inch away. And just assembly line sew. This is the way that you get things done in a day. You've got to move along there. Well, I've thought about Rutherford and Lucy because I think they are the cutest couple. Do you know that Rutherford met Lucy when she was only 15 years old, and he heard the merry peal of her laughter. Isn't that sweet? And they didn't see each other for probably 7 years. And they met again at a wedding. And that's a good place to meet, huh? So now just take this whole assembly line, turn it around, flip it around. Once again, put your bar on the line. Stitching is a 1/4 inch away and just power it through. Well, Rutherford was eating a piece of wedding cake, and hidden in the wedding cake was this gold ring. Well, he took it out and he gave it to Lucy. She treasured it. And the day they got married, she gave the gold ring back to Rutherford, and he wore it the rest of his life. Isn't that a nice story? Just such a love story. Wonderful. Okay, last block. We're doing good. And now I'm just going to cut one of these in half. That's the next step. Cut it in half. And, whoa, I can't get my threads cut. Hey, that's what scissors are for, huh? So now, just go ahead and cut on the diagonal line, and then we're going to square this up. This patch is squared to 4.5 inches. So I'm going to use my triangle square up ruler. It looks like this, so that I get all of these exactly the same size. I'm just going to take my glow line tape. You can get this in a couple of different colors. So now I'm going to the 4.5 inch line. That is the size I want to cut these patches. So you flip the ruler from the wrong side and line up the glow line right underneath that red dashed line. That way, I'm going to have every single block perfect. So now take and place that red dashed line with the glow line right underneath. Place it along your stitching line, get it all lined up, and you have just about 1/8 of an inch to trim on all sides. Perfect. And then once you have it trimmed, turn it around and just cut off those corners. It's a different angle. It's more than 45. Get it trimmed off. No tips on the corners. Just get rid of that. And then place the patch on the pressing mat with dark on the top. Open and press into it. Perfect. Well, I have all the rest to finish, and then I'll show you how to do the flying geese. This is Lucy's famous quote. A woman's mind is as strong as a man's, equal in all things and superior in some. It sounds like Lucy was a modern-day woman, huh? Well, I have my geese ready to go. We're just going to honk our way right through this. For all the colors, remember, we're going to go through those colors. We've got the red, the green, the blue, and the brown. And we have these squares all cut for the bottom of the geese, and right sides together to it is a smaller background square. So I'm just going to take this square, flip it right sides together onto the geese, and you just guesstimate. Just kind of spread it around, push it a little bit. You want it right in the center, and I just eyeball it. And once you have it eyeballed, then take your ruler, line up the 45-degree line across the bottom. Oh, was I lucky for eyeballing. That was good. So when you finally put your ruler down, you want your ruler to line up here, 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 and here. And that one was perfect. I'm going to draw a diagonal line right down through the white background. This is quite a process if you have never done it before. Well, I already went ahead and drew the diagonal lines on my 3 other colors. I want to sew a 1/4 inch seam on both sides of that diagonal line. Why is it that I always start just sewing those diagonal lines? Okay, I've got to get my needle up and line up my background square with the diagonal line. All right, I got it. Ready for boogie. Okay, go down one side with that 1/4 inch seam at the bottom. You can assembly line sew, get them all 4 done, but I'm in a hot shot mood, so I'm only doing 1 for you. And repeat with that 1/4 inch seam on the opposite side. So this is how all of the geese start. We have all of these different measurements of geese that you can make with our special rulers, but every geese starts out with the background and with the dark. It's always smaller one in the top. Okay, grab your ruler, cut on the line. Ta-da! And now you have 2. This is looking good. Light on the top, dark on the back. And wouldn't you know, these are all done and ready to go. So I'm going to just take all of these to the pressing mat and just always drop them with the large triangle on the top. And you know, it doesn't matter about color. What's really important is the size of it. You always have to have the largest triangle on the top. We're always going to press to the largest regardless of color. So then just take and set the seam. I'm going to get some steam going here as I go through here. So you just lift it up and watch the corners, because you also want to get those folded out. This is very strange looking, a smaller triangle with a larger triangle, but this is correct. Exactly what I want. You know, Lucy, as a first lady, was very much an equal to her husband. She was great. She shared his interest in politics and in people. She was just great. But one reporter said with sarcasm that when she took a trip without her husband, he sarcastically said President Hayes would be acting president in her absence. They were always making fun of her. Lemonade Lucy and all those things. All right, I just have a few more, and just notice that I set the seam every time. That just locks your stitches in between. And if you have a good machine that doesn't actually pull your stitches and make it like tight, it'll work fine. Now I have to go back and sort these all out into reds. See if I get it. 2 reds. I've got 2 greens, 2 blues. You're keeping track of me, right? And the last one brown. Now, I told you that we were going to make geese with 2 colors in it. This is what we're going to do right now. Right now, the 2 geese. And before I go on, I'm just turning off my steam. This is going to make so much noise while I'm doing that. Okay, so first, take 1 and lay it out. Take 2 and place it right sides together to it. Now, the best thing is you do not match those seams. You've got goose tails here. I've got 2 different colors coming together. I've got the goose tails on both ends. That's what you have to watch for. Okay, so now I'm going to take a 2 and a 3. Put it background to dark. Line up the outside edges. Don't even think about lining that seam up. All right, now I need 3 and 1 4, like so. And then the last one, go back to the 4 and put the 1 right sides together to it. It just takes a little bit of organizing, but you'll get it. And it's really fun to make that 2-color geese. Okay, so now, one more time, draw another diagonal line. And usually at this time, I like to start right here at the seam, go out, go back to the seam and go the opposite way. And then it's all lined up perfectly. So once again, I am just going to go ahead, sew a 1/4-inch line from each side of the diagonal line. Just step on the gas right now. And then at the bottom, just turn it around and stitch one more time. And this is the same technique that we use for all of the geese. Usually we have the same color of dark together. This is a little unique, new technique for you to learn. And now that it is sewn on both sides, just take your rotary cutter and your ruler and cut right down through the middle. Now, I want to open it up, okay? I want to press away from the geese, away from the geese. To make that possible, take and fold your ends together, your little tails on your geese. Take your scissors and clip. All right, here they are. Clip just to the stitches. Just clip to the stitches. Perfect. Now, whenever we press them, they're going to lay flat from each of the geese. This is what we want to save. This white part, you hold up the opposite side, press right in there, make that flat, turn your whole piece around, hold it up, and press in flat. And that way, we're going to have two colors on our geese. Looking good. But now this is the best part. Now we have our ruler. I have to go back and do all of these. We have our geese ruler. And to keep it from sliding on your mat, I highly recommend that you put Invisigrip on the back side. I already have it on mine. All you do is just give it a little tear and you peel away this piece of plastic, and this on the back side will help your ruler from sliding. So now I'm just going to put this on my turnable. On the geese, it says 2x4 geese. That's the size we need for our 12-inch block. On the red lines, it's 1x2 for the little guy. So I'm just going to start, take the 2x4 finished geese, slide it right up so that it's on top of the seams. Perfect. And now I need to trim on all four sides. I start off and go, cut it in half, get rid of that 1/2 so you don't cut into it by mistake, and you just keep on sliding it around, turning the mat until you have the perfect geese. So look, you have your 1/4-inch seam built right in here. You have your points going right out to the corners. It's ready for sewing together. Now comes the most complicated step I'm ever going to show you. You are going to wish that you were drinking while you do this, let me tell you. Well, I have all of my blocks laid out. I started with my red, green, blue, and brown. And then I'm setting up my second block, but this is the mirror image kind of thing. So I'm just going the opposite way. So here I have red, 1, 2, 3, 4, the other way. Now, I had all of these loose pieces of geese, these 2-color geese, all hanging around here, and I had to figure out where they went. Got it? I'm going to show you how to do it. In between here, we want geese that have red on 1/2 and green on the other. Okay, red on 1/2 and green on the other. Okay, and they're supposed to point in. Ah, yes. Red and green. That's good. Okay, now we need green and blue, pointing in. Let me see, that is not going to do it. But look, I have these two pieces that have not been sewn together. I'm saving those to show you how to do that. That's right. See, green, blue. Okay, now I need to have blue, brown, pointing in. There we go. And only one more. We need to have brown, red. All pointing in. That's looking good. They are there. How about the center? I see 4 T's. Do you see 4 T's? Obvious. Okay, and then this is the middle, right in there. and that finishes it. So we should be able to finish this second block here with what's left. Yep, it's looking good. So let me turn this one, going all in, pointed in. Let me see. Yep, one more there, and the very last one. And this in the middle. And now I want to show you how to sew these two together in pairs. You just flip it right sides together. And what's so nice about the geese, and even with my red thread, is that you can see how it has this point going right up here. And when you sew your geese, you want to sew either right on that thread or a little shorter. Right on it or a little shorter. And then your block will be perfect. It's really fun to do using the special ruler because there are lots of methods of making the geese block. But this one is really fun. I always call those other geese wonky geese. These are always nice and straight. Okay, I'm going to get my stiletto, match up that opposite corner. We're going for right down through that seam. All right, let's see. Perfect. And through the other side. And cut the thread. And I want you to take a look because it's actually better if you're there or shorter because you want to have a really perky geese on the other side. I love perky geese. They're so much fun. Okay, now take this. You have the stitches across the top. Just set your seam. It's important also this time. And now just open and press right into it. It's lined up on both sides. Right here I've got my 1/4 inch seams. Point right there. There's my 1/4 inch seam for the next one. Okay, let's get this back in place. Pointing in. And now we just have our vertical rows to sew together. We're going to go right down along here. I always take the middle row and flip it to the left. And I want you to notice that the way that the seams are pressed, then you don't have to fight them. That's the best part. So let me just stack this vertical row, one on top of each other, so I don't have to keep on jumping up and down. The tricky part is to not twist these while you're working. Okay, pick up the first two. Use a 1/4 inch seam. There are so many blocks that use the fine geese. And look at this. You're going to love this. You have a seam here and this here. And when you put these two pieces right sides together, they lock. They lock together. So whenever you look at the final one, it's going to be perfect. All right. Let's just get it started. Should have your 1/4 inch. Line it up on the opposite edge. This is really fun. You know that the Hayes were such a loving couple. They actually had 5 surviving children. 3 died in infancy. That was too sad, huh? Okay, put this right after here. And actually, Lucy's grandparents were so up on education that they saw to it that she had a higher education, something very unique among the first ladies. Okay, let me just block this seam right here, and I'm going to show you how it looks in the first row. That locking is the best. And there I have the first vertical row all connected together. All I need to do is flip the second vertical row to it, the next one, then go across. The block is done. Sewing for a cause is an old tradition. The largest of all causes was the temperance movement. You know, women marched in parades. They were carrying signs that said, "Down with demon rum," and "Lips that touch whiskey are lips that will never touch mine." Well, this is a unique temperance block. When it's turned this way, it looks like a whiskey goblet. Well, then turn it the other way, and it's a milk bottle. Well, the Women's Christian Temperance Union was founded in 1874. By 1907, the organization had 350,000 members. The double T, or temperance quilt, was usually blue and white, the union colors. Now, white is for purity and blue is for water, the purest drink of all. And this is an antique quilt. It was probably made around 1880, maybe 1900. Pretty good condition, but we did replace the binding. Well, although Lucy Webb Hayes was a strong supporter of temperance, she rebuffed efforts by the WCTU to become a leader in their organization. Perhaps she was afraid that joining the movement would hurt her husband's political career. Maybe. Well, the word temperance means total abstinence from all things harmful and moderation in all things good. WCTU members who pledge temperance are total abstainers from the use of alcohol. WCTU remains the largest women's organization in the United States. Well, regardless, Lucy Hayes was a strong leader. So enjoy making her blocks.